Hey everyone, and welcome back. So today I'm basically going to be discussing what I did for this composition assignment. So with this assignment, I used one synth, but three different times because I have three different tracks. So the first track is called my main chords, which has the main chords of the song, but also is counter melody to the melody that I have here, which is very, very high sounding. So this whole entire song has a very secret agent retro video game feel to it because of the chords that I used. So as you can hear it in the background, I personally do like how it came out. It's very short, but it has a good beat and feel to it. So as you can see here, yeah, I have my main chords high, but also my bass line, which is in the middle, I believe. And this is my main backbone of the song. So let's get into the synth itself. So the synth that I use is called a GMS synth, which is found in FL Studio, where you can go here and you can add any type of synth that you need. Some of them you do have to pay for. This one I did not have to pay for, which is very fortunate. So for the first synth here that I have is for my main chords. So it was important for me to have it feel kind of ethereal in a way. As you can see, I was very careful with the way the reverb is on here. Oop, all this is glued on. Yeah, but all I had here was my distortion and reverb. So, as you can see here, this synth is a lot different than the ones I used before because it actually combines different wave shapes together versus the other one was just one kind of set wave shape. So this one, I had a square wave, a saw wave, and a saw mean wave. And I also had a Nintendo preset on here because it also has presets. But I had to be very mindful of the attack, decay, sustain, and release because I needed the notes to carry over. As you can see from this track right here, there's certain breaks because I need the notes to feel distinguished, but also independent, if that makes sense. So in the filtering, because saw waves and square waves can often sound harsh, it was important for me to bring this low pass filter really into effect to take away some of that harshness. And with the envelope, I used a little bit of decay, as you can see right here. I'm still figuring out the hooks and the loops and everything involved with this synth. So I'm not super familiar with everything, but I do know what I do know. So here I have a little bit of distortion. If I put it all the way here, it distorts too much where it's just very noisy. But I didn't add much of this. My flanger, phaser, low pass filter, high pass filter, because I did all of that over here. And I didn't add any echoes to it. But I did add a little bit of reverb. And the important thing is I wanted it to sound kind of distant because in my main mix for this one, I also had reverb here. So that's mainly what I did for this one. So now let's go on to the next one, which is my main, my bass line. So with my bass line, I needed it to sound very robust and kind of thick. So I chose a beast wave, which sounded really cool, I must say. I added a sine wave and also a saw wave. So I have these two to kind of balance them so it sounds a little softer. But because beast wave is a mixture between a square and a saw, I believe. I have to look into that. It still did have a little bit of harshness, so I did bring my low pass filter into effect. Now, I needed my bass to sound very defined, so I have a fast attack, a little slower delay, shorter sustain because, as you can hear from the song, the bass is kind of like dum 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 dum, like very plucked, if that makes sense. And then a very short release because I wanted it to sound really defined. And yeah, that was really it. So when it came to these type of filtering, the only thing I really did was this phaser, and I just brought it down low. But everything else, I felt that the bass was really good on itself. And I didn't add any low frequency oscillators to it. The envelope was just very basic with its decay, but everything else was down. So this one was very, very basic. But I also had an aggressive preset. So it also has, like with these presets, you can see, that's what it looks like. But I added an aggressive preset, but fixed and altered everything to my own liking. So then the last one I have is this high synth right here, which goes to the main melody that you can hear. So with the high synth, I had to be a lot more hands-on because I wanted it a very specific sound while not knowing exactly what I wanted. Because that's just kind of how the creative process works sometimes. So I had a square wave, a saw mean wave, which is the same type of wave that I had in my first one that I did, which was the main chorus, but also a string wave because I wanted it to sound like a string in a way. So when it came to this one, I had a faster attack, but it wasn't as fast as the other instruments that I did before. The decay, I put it all the way up because I wanted it to really ring. And the same thing with the sustain, was halfway, and the release was fairly quick, so that way it doesn't just drag. With the envelope, I have the decay up, as you can see from here, and everything looks pretty normal. So the only difference is with the low frequency oscillator here, I chose it to be the actual frequency. So it sounds more like a vibrato, kind of like a string. Personally, I would say it sounds very similar if you ever played Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. It sounds like an ocarina, a little more stringy, but that's what it sounds like, at least to me. So when it came to here, the amplitude was very regular. And by the way, with some of them, like the bass, because of some of the filtering that I did on it, it did bring the levels down, so I had to bring the amplitude up. But for this one, I just kind of kept it the way it was. I actually didn't add anything on top because most of the work was down here, and also with its EQ. But that was really it. I hope you enjoyed this composition assignment as much as I did. Honestly, it turned out well. It turned out well. But that was it. All right. Have a great day, everyone, and enjoy.